Hey friends, I want to show you an incredibly useful report you can generate with PowerShell using MilestonePSTools. So what you're looking at is the output from the Get-CameraReport command in MilestonePSTools, and we're going to go through all of the columns that are available in this report and then show you how to generate it yourself. So we've got our, in the first column we have the camera names and then the channel in case it's a multi-channel device, whether or not it's enabled, and the recording state. And let's move over here. We have the last modified timestamp, so you can get an idea of what devices have been recently changed, the configuration of those devices. You have the IDs if you need them for some purpose, the hardware device that camera is attached to, and if we continue moving, we have the recording server that it's associated with, and the driver information. So we have the model and the driver. So as an example, we have Axis 8 channel device, that's the driver, and then the model number that camera is reporting is the P3227. And we have the address and the username. Now, the passwords are omitted in this report. By default, if you want the passwords included in the report, you need to supply the include passwords switch. So that's an optional property. We have the MAC address, and then we have the properties for the live and the recorded streams in case you're using multi-streaming. And optionally, you have the actual live and actual recording resolution. So let me scroll over here. So in these columns, you can see that as an example, the live stream for this camera is 1280 by 720, and the recorded stream is 1920 by 1080. That's not the configured resolution, that is the actual resolution. The command when this report was generated, an image was requested from the live stream and an image was requested from playback, and the resolutions of those were documented. That can be useful just to verify that the configured streams are the actual recorded streams. If we continue on, we have the recording properties and pre-buffer settings. And then we have the motion settings. So whether motion detection is enabled, whether it's keyframes only, the method, whether it's fast, which I think is the default, or I forget the names of the other ones, but that can be useful to see if there's some cameras where the motion detection method has been raised to where it's analyzing all pixels on the image instead of just a smaller percentage. And then we have whether manual sensitivity has been enabled. If motion metadata is disabled, you'll see that here. The hardware acceleration properties, and then a very useful column here is the oldest and latest image. So if we sort by oldest, or excuse me, newest to oldest, let's sort oldest to newest. We can see the timestamps for the oldest images in the media database, and that can be useful to just verify that the retention that you're getting or that you've asked for is the retention that you're getting. And then likewise, the latest image, if we sort this oldest to newest, we can see if there's any cameras that haven't recorded anything for a while. And in this case, it looks like everything has recorded something in the last couple of hours. All right, so that is the results of Get-CameraReport. Let's show you how to do it yourself. Let me close this Excel spreadsheet here. And let me see if I'm connected here. All right, I am connected, so I'm going to disconnect and then just show you from the beginning. So I'm going to assume that you have already installed MilestonePSTools. If not, there is another video that'll show you how to do that. But briefly, you can do it by just doing install module MilestonePSTools. I've got it installed already, and the version that I'm running is 1.0.76. So let's get connected. All right, so I'm connecting to a server at public demo. I just have a DNS alias to get me to our public demo site. I'm going to have PowerShell ask me for my credentials, so it's going to pop up with a username and password window for me to fill out before it connects. And then I've specified that the user account that I'm logging in with is a basic user, not a Windows user. So I'll hit enter, put in my credentials, and I should be connected. All right, so now let's do get camera report. And let's take a look at some of the parameters that we have here. So we can supply a recording server or a number of recording servers. If we want to generate a report that is only on a specific recording server, we can do that. If we don't supply a recording server, then it'll gather cameras from every recording server on the VMS. If we want the actual resolutions, we can include that switch. Now, some of these will add some time. So instead of maybe 1 camera per second, it might be 1 camera every 2 seconds. So it can take some time to generate the report if you include actual resolutions and playback info, for example. But let's include actual resolutions. If we wanted passwords in the report, we could do that. If we want the first and last image timestamps, we can use include playback info. And let's take a look at what else we have here. We can include disabled cameras if we want to. And then if there are camera or hardware properties that you want to include in the report, so as an example, I think some hardware has the HTTPS enabled property. You could include that, and then when you run the report, it'll ask it'll pull some of those extra settings out for you. So those are optional. I think at this point we can just run the report. So I'm going to hit enter without doing anything, and you'll see that the results just get kind of spat out into the PowerShell window, and it's not terribly useful looking at it like this. So let me hit Control C, and I hit up to show the last command that I ran. And what you'll usually do is one of two things. So you might save the report to a variable. So report equals Get-CameraReport. And then when you run it, you're not going to see much happening, but it's going to be storing those results to the report variable. And at the end, you can see what properties you have or what results you have in that variable, and then you can export that to a CSV or view it with out grid view. So that's something that you could do, or you can directly send the results to a CSV file. So if we do get camera report and then export CSV, that's a built-in PowerShell commandlet that does all the heavy lifting for you. Path cameras.csv. And usually when I use the export CSV commandlet, I'll use the no type information switch. If you omit this property, then your CSV file will have some junk information in the header that you probably don't want. So let's do that. And again, this takes about a second or two per camera, so it can take some time if you have hundreds or thousands of cameras that you're generating a report on. Just be prepared for that to take a little bit of time. But when it's done, it gives you a good tool to look for any discrepancies in your settings. And you could even schedule this report to run, say, once per day, and then save it to a timestamped CSV file. And then if you ever run into issues and you discover some important setting changed, you could go back and look at those CSV files and find out when was the last time that it was set properly, and then you can find out what happened on the day that it changed. So that can be a useful reporting tool. At this point, the CSV file is probably about done being created. Just another moment here. and then we can open that CSV file in our tool of choice. On my machine, I have Excel installed, so I'll just use invoke item to open the file with my default editor. And this warning that we just got, get playback info failed. So the command was trying to retrieve an image from this Edisix body camera, but there's no video recorded for that camera right now. So let's open up our CSV file, invoke item, cameras.csv. That's just a PowerShell command that'll open a file using the default application. And Excel has opened. And there's my report. It's the same report that you were looking at the start of the video. If I want to use some of the tools in Excel to sort or filter, one of the useful, let me show tabs of commands here. One of the useful things is to highlight everything and then double click on the column so that it sizes all the columns wide enough to show all of the values. There we go. And then let's format this as a table. So I'll do I'll do format as table. And my table has headers. And there we go. So we can sort this alphabetically. We could sort by state, so we can see any cameras that aren't responding. We can see those right at the top. Also, for example, you can go to oldest image and do a bit of a retention check to see what your actual retention is. Okay, so let's look at a couple more things with this command. If we want to generate a report from a specific recording server, I believe I have a recorder called Milestone Demo. So I'll do recorder equals get recording server, if I can spell, name Milestone Demo. Just make sure it's there. There's my recording server. So I could do Get-CameraReport recording server, and I can supply that one recording server there. So if I want to get a report that's for a single recording server, I can do it this way. And then I have my usual parameters here. Okay, let's look at the help information. So get help, get camera report, and we'll get the full help documentation here. So you can see the description. I won't go over that again. We also have detailed descriptions of each of the parameters. Okay, and then at the bottom we have an example of how to use this. So this one is generating a report for the cameras on NVR01. The report will include passwords, and then it'll include the HTTPS enabled hardware property. So if you were to run that report, then you might be trying to verify that all your cameras have HTTPS enabled. And yeah, so that's Get-CameraReport. It's included in MilestonePSTools. So once you have MilestonePSTools installed and you log in using the Connect Management Server commandlet, you can just type Get-CameraReport and have fun. Hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, please let me know.